Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the CineMatch podcast, the podcast where we take different movies every week and debate/rate them. I didn't do the new intro today because you know what I saw? Do you know I told you that I heard that bus driver say it a few years ago and I just thought it was really inventive?
Did you see the bus driver been arrested or something?
No, I saw on Twitter today. It's actually a Taylor Swift thing.
Oh, okay.
So it's not that inventive. It's just something that one of the biggest singers in the entire world does, apparently. And I only found that out today, so I'll leave it for her.
Taylor Swift.
Don't want to step on her turf.
No, we don't want to. Yeah, we don't want to encroach on her monetary gain.
No, not at all. So
not
I'll leave that for her.
Monetary gain.
No, yeah. But yeah, already off track already, but we'll quickly get back on. Well, yeah, welcome back, guys, to another episode of the CineMatch podcast. My name is Cal, and I am one of your hosts. And joining me as he does every week is Mr. Nathan Sackle-Hannah. And how are you, sir? Full from your pancakes?
I'm very full from my pancakes, although it's Thursday today.
That means you ate a lot if you're still full 2 days later.
No, I go nuts with pancakes, like ice cream on them, fucking sweet sort of chocolate on them, fucking the lot.
Ice cream?
Wrap them into little burritos rather than eat them flat. So put it all in the middle, wrap it all up like a burrito, pancake burrito, banging.
That does sound good. That does sound good. I'm quite boring. I'm like maple syrup, sugar.
No, it's very sickly, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I can imagine. Do you get like the thick pancakes, or just do you get like the ones that are like that?
If I'm with Grace, we've got to do the thick pancake. She likes the American style, but with literally anybody else, it's the classic thin style.
Yeah, I'll take any. I'm fucking not fussy when it comes to pancakes. I'll eat any. But yeah, how are you?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm not too bad. Back at uni, busy week. I went to London. Very exciting.
Oh, you did for work, didn't you?
Yeah, that was fun. I felt like a real journalist going down there and like doing all the meetings in like the office and stuff. It was like what you see in the movies.
Did you have a lanyard with your staff badge on?
No, not at all. Yeah. Much more laid back than that. It's funny though, because I went in just jeans and a hoodie because I just thought it'd be quite casual, and it was. But another lad went for the first time, and one of his friends who already works there told him that everyone wore suits. So this one lad showed up in a full suit and tie, which I thought was fucking brilliant.
I would imagine you'd walk around like purposely dressed like Clark Kent, trying to emulate Clark Kent.
I would, but at the same time, I can't fucking stand wearing suits. Jeans was bad enough. Like wearing jeans for like 12 hours, I was like, I hate this. If I could have shown up in shorts, I would have done, but I think that might have been too casual.
Next time.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, we've got another rom-com episode as we are halfway through Valentine's month now. We've actually passed Valentine's Day. We've done 2 weeks. We've covered the quintessential rom-coms in You've Got Mail and Sleepless in Seattle. We've covered the rather unorthodox sex comedies in The 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up. And this week we're going pure 90s rom-coms, the teen stuff. We're going teen rom-coms, one of my favourite genres, and we're doing 10 Things I Hate About You against She's All That. It's again, they're quite similar rom-coms because it's essentially, they've got a very similar premise where guy takes girl out, but he's got ulterior motives. And it all kicks off when she finds out. So they're quite a similar one. 10 Things I Hate About You stars.
You do know why they're similar, though, don't you?
Yeah, because they're both based on the Shakespeare thing. That's the thing as well. I saw that earlier. It was like a trend. There was quite a few like Shakespeare-based fucking teen movies in the 90s. Clueless was Shakespeare as well, right?
Yeah, it's. Oh, I'm going to have to Google it while you're talking.
I think it is. Or it might be Jane Austen.
Oh, maybe.
I think it's based on Emma, actually.
So that really just...
I think it's based on Emma, the Jane Austen thing.
There was Romeo and Juliet, obviously.
Yeah, of course. There was these two. That's probably it.
Yeah.
Maybe there wasn't as many as I thought.
And it was Jane Austen, yeah. So that really... That's a... Didn't you do something like this last week where you look the fool for once?
Yeah, maybe. The worst thing is when I do it and immediately realise myself and then just call it out. I should have just left that.
You know what we need to do? Research.
Yeah, but why would we research Clueless for this?
You never know.
That would have been strange. Would have been a waste of time, but...
Got Paul Rudd in it. We had 2 Paul Rudd films last week.
That's very true. We don't have any Paul Rudd this week, but we've got some fucking bangers. We've got, like I said, 10 Things I Hate About You, starring the late Heath Ledger, Julia Stiles, and I guess Joseph Gordon-Levitt's kind of the star as well.
Yeah.
And then you've got She's All That, which stars the great Freddie Prinze Jr. and Rachel Lee Cook. Teen rom-coms, fucking awesome. I love teen rom-coms. I can't imagine you've watched too many teen rom-coms, have you?
Probably more teen of these teen stuff, because I've seen 10 Things I Hate About You and I've seen bits of She's All That. But like, I thought about it this morning. We should have. We're not going to. I know we're not doing it this month now, so don't mind saying it. We should have done stuff like American Pie, because these kind of teen rom-coms are the kind of stuff that I have watched before, like not actual full-on rom-coms, but a bit more teeny, a bit more. Well, I'm going to say modern, but it's the 1999. I was 10.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, I was 3.
All right, go. I hate when we play this game.
I know, yeah, you'll never win that one. But no, I love American Pie. I won't mind doing that on an episode at some point, because I think that's a fucking awesome film. And I do, like I said, the 90s teen movies are some of my favorite. Like, it's one of my favorite genres. I just think they work every time. And these two, probably the 2 most famous romantic teen movies from the 90s. Obviously, 10 Things I Hate About You is a phenomenon that's held up even now, and She's All That at the time was like one of the biggest films of the year. I think it was defo number 1 at the box office for a while and made over like $100 million, I'm pretty sure. And both movies starred some pretty big names for the time, but not all of them in quite 90s fashion. Not all of them are really that famous now. Like, some of these names just feel like they disappeared off the face of the earth for a while. But
potentially, but in one of the films, there's one person in it that I lost my shit over when I was watching it, and I can't wait to get to that category to talk. And I think you may know who I'm talking about, but
I probably already do, because it's something I'm looking forward to talking about. So I'll be surprised if it's not the same person, but we'll get there. So yeah, you said you'd seen 10 Things I Hate About You before. Is it something you'd seen a lot, or did you not really remember much?
I've seen it a couple of times with past girlfriends and whatever, but it's one of the ones that I've always liked anyway. Not to ruin one of the categories, but like, I really like the music in that film as well. And yeah, I think it's a really good film. Never seen She's All That, so that was a bit of a eye-opener for me. So I can't wait to get into that one.
Yeah, see, I'm not the complete opposite. Like, I think I'd seen 10 Things I Hate About You maybe once ever, and I couldn't really remember too much. Whereas She's All That, I think, especially when I was like 16, 17, I must have watched about 15 times. Like, I fucking loved it when I was younger. And to be fair, I was a bit surprised rewatching it now, just how funny I thought it was. And I think both films, more than usual, like, because a lot of rom-coms, it's an acquired taste, but I think there was some just really genuinely funny moments, which we'll get to. But we might as well get started then and talk about the stories. I'll quickly run through both, because, like I said, on the surface, they're quite similar. Sorry?
So they're exactly the same.
Pretty much. Both movies are about a guy that takes out a girl. One is because he makes a bet that he can take one of the biggest losers in school and make her prom queen after he's dumped by his very popular girlfriend who's feeling very insecure about himself. And that is She's All That, starring Mr. Freddie Prinze Jr. And the other...
We're using the term biggest loser and turn into a prom queen very loosely.
But yeah, do you know what the worst thing is as well? I mean, I'm already getting off track. There's a bit in it when they're picking and there's some real like dodgy things, like someone scratching their ass, and he's like, we can go worse, and then goes with her. Like, how is that worse? We'll get to that. We'll get to
it.
And then 10 Things I Hate About You is essentially about a guy that takes out a girl because he's paid to do a favor for someone else. So they're very similar. They both have these characters that are definitely fake romancing people, and would you believe it, eventually fall for them, as they always do in all the good ones. But yeah, She's All That, I think, was a little bit more straightforward, because then in 10 Things I Hate About You, there's obviously all the little subplots with why Heath Ledger's character Patrick's taking her out, and it's because Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character wants to take out Julia Stiles' younger sister Bianca, but then so does
Somebody
the
else.
typical dickhead at school who's the one that's paying him because he thinks it's going to help him. It's all fucking a bit of a kerfuffle. So I went 10-9 in favor of She's All That because I think I preferred the straightforward nature of it. I think
You are simple. You need simple storylines.
yeah, anything
know
else. I watched Interstellar last night. I was like,
I bet if we went through all the episodes and if it was to choose story, I 100% would say that you pick the simple stories and have said it's a lot simpler. So I'm going with that one. I think maybe you just don't like complications.
yeah, maybe. No, I just think like, do you know with 10 Things I Hate About You, there was just little bits that I thought this is just a bit stupid. Like, first of all, the dad saying that she can only date if her sister does is a very weird decision, considering the sister's older as well. Like, that's a weird choice. And then
he knows his sister's like a bit more abrasive.
yeah, which is ironic because plot twist, she fucking had sex like a year earlier or 2 years earlier or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think because that one as well, it's like all these little subplots like, oh, Joseph Gordon-Levitt likes her, but then so does this guy who's paying him. And it's just like, can we just fucking keep it straightforward? We don't need all this bollocks. Just a guy and a girl.
About my films, is that what you're thinking?
But no, I do. I just think, especially with She's All That, I like the little twists along the way. Like, I like that he is tasked with making a prom queen, but it's not like he's not the one that's driving that narrative. He doesn't nominate her for prom queen. Someone else does that just without knowing, and she doesn't. Not to step on the enemy, but she doesn't win. It's not. It's not like it's not too cliche in that sense. Like, I think if it was a lesser movie, he'd have been the one that was nominated because he had this goal in mind, and then she'd have won the prom queen thing. It'd have been like, oh, this big fucking happy ending, and he'd have won his bet. And I like that they didn't do that. I like the way they went with it, and I think 10 Things I Hate About You. While it's hard to talk about too much without stepping on other categories, so I'm just going to leave it there.
Why start now on episode 31 when you've been doing it episodes so far?
Yeah, true. It's just there was things I just wanted to say, then it's like, but these are other categories that are coming up, and I don't want to repeat myself. So
you know what's it's literally just clicked to me that although this is episode 31, the next episode will have done 30 of these together. Like, it feels like yesterday we was only doing like the 10 episode celebration together.
I know, yeah.
30. How have we done that?
Wild. It is wild. I can't believe I left work and just have kept contact with you for this long.
Hey, we talk once a week, and that's all that's needed.
Yeah, true.
I liked She's All That. I like the simple story, the nature of the story. I like the twist with like Paul Walker's character, Dean, who, you know, used the opportunity to out him and then try and get his own bet to sleep with her to kind of like up the ante kind of thing to prove that he's more popular than Freddie Prinze Jr. But I do prefer all of the complication stuff in 10 Things I Hate About You, which is why I went 10-9 to 10 Things. And that's because like I like the stuff that Cameron's playing Joey and Joey's being played by Patrick, and Patrick supporting Cameron, but Cameron isn't really getting what he wants until later on. And it's all like this big twist, and it's all gets like a bit of a tangled mess that all comes crashing down and then built back up like at the last minute. I think I prefer all of that because it just adds that extra layer to it. And you've got the two, rather than, because, you know, in She's All That, Kieran Culkin, who I was shocked to see, weirdly with 2 hearing aids.
I don't know what the choice was for that.
I don't know if he actually needs them or what, but like Kieran Culkin and Laney, what's his name? Simon and
Laney.
They've got
Laney Boggs.
Yeah, Laney Boggs. But they've got a good relationship, so there's not like a lot of conflict in her life. Whereas in 10 Things, like there's always conflict at all times. Like everybody's always kind of against each. Like the sisters oppose and come together. Patrick and Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character Cameron, like they butt heads. Joey and Patrick butt heads. Obviously, Kat and Patrick butt heads. I just like it seemed more everything that happens in 10 Things seems more earned than everything that happens in She's All That. Like in She's All That, Freddie Prinze Jr., who's like the most popular kid in school,
one of the most handsome men I've ever fucking laid eyes on.
He's literally got it all, right? He's literally one of the most handsome men. Again, you say that every week about most men that's in these films.
It says more about me, doesn't it?
He's in like, is it the top? Is it like number 4, like 4th place for the smartest student in the school?
Yeah.
He's rich. He's got a great car. He's got I'd say hot ex-girlfriend, but they're supposed to make you think she's a hot ex-girlfriend, not compared to Lainey Boggs, but we'll keep that. You know, he's got loads of friends and whatever. So I don't think there's as much, like, it's not as believable for him to all of a sudden like go up to her, start talking to her, following her around, and she just kind of go along with it. Whereas Patrick doing it to Kat, it just feels a lot more believable because he's somewhat creepy in his persistence until it obviously becomes a bit more charming. So yeah, that's why I prefer 10 Things over. But that being said, obviously I've never seen She's All That. Really, really love She's All That. Both films are really weird. Like with the jokes and with how they like depict all the kids at school and stuff. Like obviously 10 Things you've got, which I really love, is when you're explaining all the different types of students, and you're like, you got the cowboys and the stockbrokers and all of that, but they're like proper like,
and the white rastas fucking kill me.
Yeah, the white rastas are brilliant. The bit in the classroom and they're like, yeah man, and it's like, you shut up, or whatever he says, and it's like really, really cartoony around a not really cartoony story, which I really, really love. But then in She Saw That, you've got people like, we'll talk about it, but people like Matthew Lillard's character and like all of that stuff. But also, what the fuck happened with that dancing at the end, at the prom?
Like, with Funk's old brother.
Yeah, to Funk's, and it's just really, really strange. But like really, really, like, it doesn't feel out of place. It just kind of works with the vibe of the film. So I really love both. Like She's All That, I would 100% watch multiple times. It's one that I'm quite happy to watch and really, really liked it. But I just preferred the story of 10 Things. That was a full-on ramble, that was.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I actually think I half expected you to hate She's All That, so it's interesting that you didn't.
I usually hate films you recommend to me.
That's not true at all. I've got one right there that's the best recommendation yet.
That's very true.
But yeah, I think both are, like we said, they're quite similar in certain senses, so it's hard to separate the stories too much. But I also think while the relationship aspects of She's All That is obviously much more simple, I like the aspect of like the inner turmoil of like Zach's character and like what he's going to do once he leaves school, because obviously when you are like the big dog at school like he is, it must be daunting, like, and all they're having this future where everything's unclear. You don't know what's next, and when your dad's like pressuring you to do a certain thing. So I think I liked that bit. I think it could have done more with it.
The best boy category, so I can argue that fact.
yeah, we'll get there soon. But yeah, we'll move on then to the best opening.
Best opening, yeah. So
yeah. Next up, best opening. Again, very similar in the sense that both openings kind of just paint a picture on who the characters are. The 10 Things I Hate About You one shows the popular girls pull up in that car listening to some music, which, if I'm not mistaken, what's that band called that do the song from Shrek?
It's they're listening to a remix version of 1 Week.
What's 1 Week? Who sings that?
Bare Naked Ladies.
I don't know.
It's not. No, it's not.
Oh yeah, that 1 Week when I know it.
Same
and
then,
and then when Kat pulls up in the car next to him, and she's obviously got that really like punk rock song on, which I really enjoy, and it just shows you like how different she is from the girls around her. And then you get like I said, it's very similar to She's All That, where the opening really introduces you to who the characters are. Like it opens with that montage with the I'm not familiar with the song, but it plays while Lainey's doing like working on her art project, and you see like different clips of her like working on this big fucking whatever display, and then it shows Freddie Prinze Jr. just strolling through the school without actually showing him until he checked himself out, and he sees that picture, which I think is really funny. So they're very, like I said, neither.
You know what's funny about that? And I know we potentially talked about doing an episode on it another time. But even though I knew I literally saw the poster before I clicked on the film. I saw his name pop up before I even saw him. Even walking up to the picture, I expected to see Chris Evans.
Oh, because
Not another teen movie.
yeah. That's a funny version of that. That is funny. Like I like that piss take. But yeah, so there's not really much to really say about either opening really. Like, they are just very paint by numbers. This is who the characters are. So how did you rate that?
I went 10-9 in favor of 10 Things Again, just because I think it paints Kat's character a lot better than it does with Lainey. Like Lainey's all arty and like I think the whole point of the film's story is to show that Kat and Lainey are unobtainable. The moment you see Lainey, you know that that's not true because there's nothing wrong with her. But I'm going to save my opinions, but there's nothing wrong with her other than her being a bit arty. But Kat's obviously like immediately you can tell she's abrasive and that she's gonna cause more of a problem. You've also got you've got the bit with Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character starting school, the great bit with Alison Janney, right in the novel.
Fiction, whatever is it?
Right in the novel, and then you've got Crummel's character like showing him kind of like the school and all the different, like I said, all the different cliques, which are very very cartoony, which I really enjoy. He like sets up a really strange tone for the film, which I really loved. Over She's All That, which I feel like is very much more by the numbers, like teen, high school drama kind of thing. So yeah, that's why I went. I mean they're both very simple. Nothing blows either out of the water, but one of them's got both 1 week and Joan Jett's Bad Reputation, and the other doesn't. So
yeah, I suppose if we stretch like the opening out to those scenes where he gets introduced to David Crummel's character to the school. I suppose Shoes of That you can include when Zach finds out Taylor's dumped him, and we see that little montage of her at.
I really enjoyed like them talking whilst they're in the scene and like they're at the pool and stuff like that. But they're still at school. I really enjoyed that kind of bit.
Yeah.
Still much prefer 10 Things like weird. Like they both kind of give a good vibe, a strange but good vibe to the movies. Like, oh, this is a little bit different to what everything else is. But I mean, they both came out the same year, so not that. Can I just say, actually, they both came out the same year. 10 Things I Hate About You looks like it came out in the early 2000s. She's All That looks like it came out in like 1993. Like, why does She's All That look so fucking old compared to 10 Things?
Yeah, it's strange. I think 10 Things as well is so bright.
Yeah,
it's just there's just bright colours everywhere. Yeah, I went 10-9 in favour of 10 Things I Hate About You as well. Like you said, those moments with introducing you to all the different cliques, it's very similar to The Faculty does something like that, where it sees all the different like groups of people. You are?
The Faculty.
Yeah, I fucking do. Josh Hartnett. I'm still singing that one. Yeah. But yeah, because I think both these are really good. Like I love the She's All That opening, and I love the stuff with Taylor when she's explaining to Zach what happened. And I think it's really funny when she's telling the story about the spring break, and she said she got picked for the podium, but you actually see that she pushed someone else off and stole it. Then she meets Brock Hudson, and then there's that bit where it shows them in bed, and she's like, it was crazy. We just clicked. It felt like we'd known each other weeks. Like it's some big fucking committed relationship. I just thought it was really funny. But what tipped it over for me is strictly the song that's playing when Kat shows up. That is that Bad Reputation, because that was Ronda Rousey's entrance music in WWE. And actually, those two women look very similar. So that was quite. I don't know if that was Ronda picked that on purpose or if it was just a coincidence. But she actually looks a lot like Julia Stiles, and I've always thought that. And then when I watched it, I was like, shit, it's the music as well. So just that reason alone is what tipped it for me, because it was. I thought it was hard otherwise, because I think they were both really good. We'll move on then to the endings, because like I've said before, these rom-coms sometimes these movies just feel like there's a conclusion. What did I say? So much stupid like that. I can't remember. Um,
Oh yeah, you said you like. Oh, what did you say? Like you like a film that feels like it's got a conclusion. All endings. Oh, the ending feels like a conclusion. Yeah, yeah, Cal. All endings feel like a fucking
hey,
conclusion.
not all of them. Fucking
And Infinity War,
Infinity War didn't.
Empire.
Yeah, Empire didn't. It's random, really random. And I've gone completely off tangent. But I think I told you I'm going to Florida next month. I'm going to Disney World.
Yes, okay.
So Eleanor's watching a lot of Disney films right now to get in the mood. And she watched A New Hope yesterday because technically it is Disney and there's a Star Wars section there. She cried at the end. Yeah, she texted me and told me. I was like, that is fantastic news.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, back to these endings. Almost as iconic. But yeah, like I said before, rom-coms especially have the ending's the most important bit, essentially. It's where the couples figure things out and get together. The 10 things I hate about you ending is I'd say it probably starts at the end of the prom when Kat finds out that Patrick was paid to take her out and they have that big blowout. And then it leads to her reciting the poem in class, which just that's an iconic moment. I mean, it's incredible. That is something that I think people who haven't even seen the film know. And it's incredible. And then she reads that and obviously storms out, and then they eventually reconcile in the car park because he's bought her a guitar, which seems really.
I'd reconcile.
It was a bit breezed over it. She gave this big emotional thing, and he got her a guitar. She was like, "Fuck it, all's forgiven." But yeah, they have the emotional reunion in the car park, and that's kind of where it ends with it panning out, and then that band's just playing on the school roof for some reason.
Yeah.
Do you know what? As well, really randomly, what sort of school has prom and then goes to school afterwards? Surely you should be finished at this point.
American schools. I don't know.
Yeah, true. But then you compare it to the She's All That ending, which again is prom, and it's Lainey's. You are?
Gotta be prom. Also,
yeah.
Why do these proms look like the biggest, fanciest parties in the world? Like, is that actually how it? I've got opinions. Let's continue.
I think it is in America. Like they do the elaborate videos just to ask people to go to prom with them. I can only imagine how big prom is. Ours was shite.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had a prom.
Yeah, ours sucked. The after party was good, but the actual prom sucked. But yeah, the She's All That one. It's at prom. Lainey loses the prom queen race to Taylor, who gives a very savage speech where the teacher cuts the mic off. And Dean, who is played by the late Paul Walker, has been interfering in Lainey and Zach's relationship, and he's taken her to prom, pretending to be this guy that he's clearly not, and he intends to get some, essentially, because he's got the motel room out. And it's just towards the end of the film when Lainey obviously leaves and goes home, and her dad calls her into the living room, and it's the camera pans out as she comes in, and you see that Zach's there. And they had that really nice reunion in the garden where the dad turns the lights on, and they talk about, he apologized and talks about how he fucked up and lost his best friend. And then they have this really emotional one where she tells him to shut up, and then they kiss. And it pans out to the graduation where she asks him what the rules of the bet was, and he says he'll see, and it turns out that he's got to graduate naked, which is really funny. I wish we'd have seen it. I can't lie. I was like, turn the camera around, boys. But yeah, so again, quite different the endings, actually, I think. They do take place at prom, but I think the reunions are very different. And then while one ends at the reunion, there's obviously a little bit more issues of that. I went 10-9 in favour of 10 things, though, because while I think the way they reconcile and she gets over everything is really, really, I think it's a little too quickly. I think just getting the guitar and she's like, I'll forget it all then, that's fine. I just think it felt rushed, whereas I think the She's All That one felt a little bit more end. And like I said, I really like the twist where she doesn't win prom queen and she gets to the house and Zach's there. I think they made it a little bit too obvious the way they were panning out before she even walked in the fucking room. Like she was like here and they was like moving it to turn the angle of the camera, and I was like, oh, so clearly someone's there. Like I think they could have done that a little better. But I like the way they work things out and the way the dad, who was like so encouraging, turned on the lights. Just it was nice, but you can't be that fucking poem scene. You can't. I think it's so iconic and it's so well acted from both. Like, I think obviously Julia Stiles has to do a lot of the heavy lifting with reading it out and the emotion, but just the moment where it pans to Patrick and you can see it in his eyes, like it's so well acted by both. So I went 10-9 in favour of that.
So I struggled with this one because I think both endings have things that I don't like and things that I really do like. Like, I like that he didn't save Lainey from, because that would have been weird, from a bet of him trying to have sex with him, that she's like, no, I realise, and then she had the air horn, and the bit where they're calling his name at the graduation, and he can't hear it, which is great.
That's funny.
But I think both films kind of was like, oh right, yeah, you're forgiven, which I get is the genre of movie, and that's fine. But they both happen really quick for me. But it is a little bit more believable in She's All That. But then on the stuff that I do like is like, what was the bet? And he has to do that, and it's like a really nice uplifting ending. And of course, on the polar opposite side, the poem. But also really like that it ends on another strange like vibe of the letters to Cleo playing on the roof, which I think is just like what a way to end a movie. Like such a 90s way to end a movie. So I really struggle with both. But you're right, the poem knocks it over the edge for me as well, because although I do like the bit where she's giving a speech and he cuts it off. Also, why does Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character know what all of these hotels, like, out of all where they're living, he's calling every single hotel, like,
and he doesn't find the right one.
No, he never does. Such a stupid move, but whatever. But no, the poem is like you say, Heath Ledger plays it perfectly. You can see him, like, you can see the pain in his eyes as she's reading it, and of course you can see her pain. Like, even like the teacher, whose name I wrote down, his name is Daryl Mitchell, like, who's been great and funny the entire movie. Like, you can even see like him reacting to it as well. Like, it's just such a really solemn scene in such a fun movie. So that's why I went 10-9, but it was I was tempted to do 10-10, but try not to do that as much. I'm trying to cut down.
Yeah, it's a close one. I will say something that made me laugh is when that graduation scene, when he's naked and the girl next to him is like, she looks shocked when she realizes like he's not been sat there the entire time. Like, how have you just clicked that you've been sat next to someone naked? Like, how long have you been there? Like, obviously they're in the S's by the time it gets to those guys. So they've gone through the alphabet up until S, and she's not realized. That's worrying on her side, to be fair. But yeah, both endings are good. I mean, like you said, there are bits in both that I like and bits that I don't. But that poem scene, it's fucking awesome. It is so fucking good.
I also like I forgot to mention it because I did want to mention it, like the scene with her dad. Because after she's
in which one?
10 Things. Like, obviously you got the bit where She's All That in with the dad. He's like, we'll leave you to it, kind of thing. But I like the bit when she's sat on the porch and he comes over and he talks about how he's been on the bench for years, and he says like about her going to Sarah Lawrence, that he's been on the bench for years, but she still gets to play a few rounds with Bianca. I really like that bit, that she is essentially letting her go after everything that he said and been like the entire film. He's accepting that she needs to go and spread her wings too. I really like that bit. I think it all just kind of builds up to a nice uplifting ending, even with that sad poem.
Yeah, I think I like the baseball, like, what's the word? Why it's gone out of my head?
I don't know what you're trying to say.
The baseball analogy.
Yeah, analogy.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Why did that disappear from my head? That was weird. Yeah, an analogy.
What is it you do for a living? Is it a writer?
Yeah, good job I'm not a talker.
You are. We do this every week.
I've had no problem writing that down, but yeah, for some reason that word just escaped me and I forgot how you said it. But yeah, I like the baseball analogy from him, where he says like he gets to do a few innings with Bianca, and he says, but when Kat goes to this uni, he won't even be able to watch the game. I thought that was a really nice moment. I also like the moment in She's All That with the dad before prom, when he says like, don't waste your time, Dan. here, like, and he mentions her mum passing, and he says like people look down on me because I clean pools and stuff. But I like the twist when she says there's no one to go with, and he says, "Oh, that's weird because I'm pretty sure there's a handsome young man in the living room." And you think it's Zach, and he comes up and fucking Paul Walker's there. It's like, oh fuck.
See, I didn't think it was Zach. I thought it was going to be Kieran Culkin's character. Like,
That would have been a nice. That would have been nice. Or a
Like-
best friend. Why the fuck wasn't a best friend taking her?
what's Foggy doing? Eh?
Yeah, that guy should have taken her.
You were too busy creeping on Zach's younger sister. I don't know. Was
Yeah.
she? I don't know how much younger she was, but the line when she's like, "I go to an all-girls school," I'd be thinking the exact same.
Yeah, but that guy's a fucking bum. Although he has a really funny line, which I'll talk about soon. We'll move on then to the best male lead, because obviously
This one's hard.
this one's really fucking hard.
It's really fucking hard.
You got your rom-coms, you got your male lead and your female lead in most. Sometimes you got two male love interests, sometimes you got two females, but we've got male and female here. You got Freddie Prinze Jr. as Zach Seiler in She's All That, the jock who is trying to turn Lainey Boggs into prom queen as a bet, but falls in love with her. And in 10 Things I Hate About You, you got Heath Ledger as Patrick Verona, the guy that's taking Kat out as he's getting paid for it essentially to help Bianca end up with Joey/Cameron, depending who you ask. This is really odd. So I'm glad it's you going first.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Wait. One, me, you, me. Yeah, it is.
Right, I'm going to get the negative out of the way first. Him being a little bitch about him being rich, having all these friends, being dead smart, and just not knowing what university to go to because his dad went to a university was not enough for me to feel sorry for him. If anything, I was still like, you're still massively fucking popular. People love you. Like,
you still look like Freddie Prinze Jr.
You still look like Freddie Prinze Jr. You're well respected. You're obviously athletic. You can literally have anybody in the school, essentially. I'm not really feeling sorry for you if you can't go to, if you're struggling over which university to go to just because your dad is. That being said, super fucking charming, really funny. Like, love his reactions to everything. It's the way Freddie Prinze Jr.'s like voice almost kind of breaks when he's like shocked or reacting to something every time. I really loved it. Like that scene in the cafeteria with Kieran Culkin's character, whose name is, wrote it down, Simon. Like that's really when he makes the ginger kid from American Pie eat his pubes.
Yeah, what's he called? Oh, Shermanator.
Yeah,
in American Pie, makes Shermanator eat his pubes.
Like absolutely fantastic, and I'm not. I say fantastic grace as I say fantastic all the time now. So I've gone from
sensational,
phenomenal.
Oh, phenomenal! That was it.
I'm going to start that saying that one, but it's hard because at the same time Patrick is sensational, and Heath Ledger plays it perfectly. He plays he's the bad boy that's not really the bad boy. Everything's got an explanation. Like the fact that he wasn't in prison, he was with his granddad helping him like when he was ill. He's fun, he's charming, he can sing. Oh God, I'm starting to be wooed myself. The problem is I can't decide between either of them, and I've just said that I'm not going to do any 10-10s, but I'm going to do a 10-10 because I think they are both genuinely perfect in their roles. Like you can 100% believe that Freddie Prinze Jr. Zach is the most popular kid in school. The only thing I have against, oh no, I'll talk about that in the extenuating, like in the extended cast bit. But he doesn't look like a high school student, whereas Heath Ledger kind of passes as an.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I think Heath Ledger looks like an older high school student, whereas Freddie Prinze Jr. looks like he's probably left high school about 10 years ago.
I think it's interesting to think at this point, Freddie Prinze Jr. had done both I Know What You Did Last Summer and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And in the second one, he's like playing like some guy that's actually left school and is working. So it's funny that like now he's all of a sudden back to being in school. I went 10-10 too. I had to because like I've made no secret, I fucking love Freddie Prinze Jr. Like it's the reason I love this film so much as when I was younger. And I think he is perfect as Zach in this movie. Like he is really believable as like this icon to other students at school. Like the scenes when he's walking through and he says hi to the girl, calls her Connie, and she's like, "Oh, he said my name," and the other girl's like, "He called you Connie, your name's Melissa." Or when I don't know if it's when he talks to Simon.
They not do the same to Simon as well.
Yeah, but he calls him a word. And I'm not sure if it's supposed to be offensive or not.
I don't know. I can't remember.
He calls him Spaz.
Oh yeah.
And then he's like, he talks to me, and he's like, and then Lane's like, "Your name's Simon." Like, what is he just insulting him? Because it doesn't seem like he would. Like, I don't understand that. I don't know where is that just an accident?
It depends on how you look at the word spaz. In that sometimes it can be meant as an insult, as if you've got learning difficulties, but other times it's just can be used, and it has been used as like just people that are weird.
Oh, I don't know. Well, even still, it's kind of an insult, isn't it? See some kid and called him weird. Doesn't seem like anything. It just doesn't seem like his character. It's weird that was there. But no, I think he's great. I think, like you say, he's very charming. I think he's charismatic. You can believe him as the prom king, and you can see why. Even when he's talking to Lainey and she's very standoffish at first, you can see how he eventually gets her to warm to him, like the way they interact and stuff. I just think he's great. But I think the reason I've got this tied is because while I love Freddie Prinze Jr. a lot, I don't think it's any contest to me that Heath Ledger's just a better actor. And I think it shows in these movies. I think his performance is probably just better. I'm not sure if I prefer the character, but I think his performance is it's fucking awesome. The Australian accent doesn't hurt one bit. That's lovely. Everything about him I think is great. Like the interaction with Cameron, when he's talking to Cameron and Cameron's telling him that Bianca's interested in Joey, and he's like, "Is she not worth fighting for?" And then when Cameron tells her that she kissed him and he asks where, and Cameron says on the lips.
In the car.
It's great. The scene when he sings as well is fucking iconic. Like singing that song and the dancing, I just think it's so good. And
it's a bit when he's running away.
Yeah. And he's like doing the cartoony running. I just think it's great. I think he's awesome. And you can also see why Kat's character, who is obviously so like reserved and wary of everyone around, you can see how he eventually breaks down her like defenses and stuff. But I can't separate them. Although I will say, I think Freddie Prinze Jr. does a better job acting when they find out about the bet in comparison to when Kat finds out he was being paid. Like Heath Ledger didn't really do too much there, whereas I think Zach's reaction when Lainey asks him if it's a bet, and you just see the way he says yes, and he's like, it just looks like he's going to break down. I thought it was really well done, and I think they're both fucking awesome. So yeah, I went 10-10.
The only thing that Zach should have done after that moment is not be then like, "Yeah, I'll take you to the prom still, ex-girlfriend who's crazy."
Yeah, that was strange. Oh, he should have just punched Dean's fucking head off.
Or just stand there dancing with her still. But I like the bit with the art show with Zach as well and the hacky sack. And
yeah, that's fun.
We're going to get a lot deeper with him, but his problems just amounted to the fact that he doesn't know which university to go to. So
yeah, and he's got the pressure to be good. Like fucking
great.
Or, I think they should have done more with it.
The popular's got to live up to being popular. I mean, I know how it feels, but
yeah, it's a curse.
It's a curse. It's a curse being this good looking and popular, isn't it, Cal?
It was horrible being this large, let me tell you. We'll move on then to the opposite side of that, and that's the main female character, the lead woman in these movies. Which you are.
Say it and move on because we both know who it's going to be.
You've got Julia Stiles as Kat in. Is it Kat Stanford or Stratford? Stratford. Yeah, like so you've got Julia Stiles as Kat Stratford in 10 Things I Hear About You. The more like punk rocky, very mean looking. The women are outcast in both movies, but for very different reasons. She's like, to be fair, she's very liberal and she's quite feminist, especially for the times. Like when she talks at the beginning about Hemingway, and she's just not afraid to punch. Or as we know, like she damaged that guy's testicles. Like she's very tough, and a lot of people find it intimidating. Whereas Lainey Boggs, played by Rachel Lee Cook, is quite the opposite. She's quite timid. This artist who keeps to herself. until obviously you get to know her further in the movie where she comes out of a shell and like stands up for herself. They're both fucking great characters for very different reasons. I went 10-9 in favour of Lainey Boggs because
that's the right answer.
I just think she does. I think not only do I think the character is, I think there's more of a growth throughout the film, and I think Rachel Lee Cook just does a better performance. Like, I love the way Lainey, who's quite timid and shy and obviously keeps to herself. I love the way she's not afraid to stand up to, like, even at the beginning when Zach shows an interest and she says, "I'm not smart, like I can't shoot you," and stuff like that. Or when she stands up to Taylor's friend on the beach when I can't even remember what she says, but she says something about her. And she says, "Oh, you know what I mean?" And Lainey's like, "Obviously I don't." And then she decides to go play. Oh no, she says she run like a girl. And Lainey says, "I am a girl." And she's like, "You know what I mean?" She says, "Obviously I don't." And then she goes to play volleyball with the guys before showing up to the party, and the whole thing with Taylor where she obviously initially stands up for herself, but eventually breaks down. I just think everything Lainey does, like the way she reacts as well to the fact that it's a bet, where she shouts and she swears in front of everyone. I thought that scene was really good. Don't get me wrong, I think Julia Stiles is great as Kat. I think she plays like that sort of role really well. Like it suits her to a T. And even when she begins to show more of a personality later, I think it works as well. But there's little moments which I just think are a bit out of character, like when she flashes the teacher. That just doesn't seem like anything that character would do. So just at times I just didn't really feel like there's a consistency to her. Whereas later,
we weren't supposed to we were supposed to feel like she wasn't likable, Julia Stiles. Whereas I think she's quite likable all the way through, and I feel the same about Lainey Boggs. But like I feel like she spoke like Julia Stiles as Kat is supposed to be like abrasive, and she's supposed to be hard not to crack, but like literally the first party she goes to, she's dancing on the tables and she gets the baps out for the boys to get out of detention and stuff like to an older gentleman, which just seems a bit inconsistent. I mean, that's why I went 10-9 in favour of Lainey Boggs as well, because I just think she, although I'll get into it in a second, although she quite clearly doesn't fit the bill of what the film is meant to be telling us, like she does feel more like an outsider, like that she's not as welcome in groups because of, you know, she's arty. Even the art nerds don't, like the goth girls don't really like her. Like she just doesn't seem to fit in anywhere. Whereas I don't believe that's like Julia Stiles' character's got friends. She goes to gigs. She does all that. It's not as in what the story wants us to believe. It's not. It's more believable with Lainey. So let's just say it right now. I'll text it you. And is this film supposed to make me believe that she's not attractive? She's a small, cute girl in fucking dungarees. Literally the fucking. Whew, yeah, she's literally the. I said it to you on the. I said it to you. I might have said it to my friend Dan. It's. As soon as she's on the screen, everybody else after that is like nobody else matters. And she's literally she's the first person you see on the screen. So no woman in that film compares. Not the one that's supposed to be the hottest girl in school. Like even she looks fucking ugly compared to Rachel Lee Cook. What the fuck?
Yeah, she's very very attractive. It's funny when they try to do this in these sort of movies where it's like, oh, and she went for this transformation. It's like, didn't she fuck? She took her glasses off. She still looks the same. She's fine. She's a very attractive woman. I do like the scene.
With the glasses on.
Yeah, either or. Like, I actually think I prefer with the glasses. I can't lie. But like the scene when Zach goes with her to the show and then they're outside and he tries to put the charm on and he says, "Your eyes are really beautiful." And she like laughs him off. She's like, "Oh, please." And then she looks at her. I just think stuff like that, I think it was really well done from her. I also like that she comes from a much worse background, but her family are nowhere near as well off as Kat's. Like she's quite poor, and everyone makes jokes how her dad's like the poor man for all these like more rich kids, whereas Kat's family are quite clearly rich as well. That house is huge.
He's a doctor.
Yeah, exactly. If I can live with babies and that.
He even was like, "Oh, I sent a check. It's fine. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, it's completely different. And I love that while Kat spends most of the film being miserable and don't get on with his sister. I like that Lainey's always got that bond with Simon and always looking out for him. And the way he returns the favour later on when they find out it's a bet and Zach rings and he fucking turns on Zach and he calls him an arsehole on the phone. I think that was great. I love their relationship and I love that it took a little longer for Zach to win her back over after finding out it was the bet, whereas with Kat, it felt like it was so quick. Like, she found out we had that one scene with her dad and then she was reading the poem and then they were together, whereas Lainey was ignoring all of Zach's calls. She had that big speech with her dad. She went to prom with someone else. Then she left with someone else and then fucking used a rape alarm, which I think is a great touch. And I love that she saved herself in that moment and didn't have some guy come in and do it for her. I just think she was a better character. So that was easy. You never actually said you score, so I'm guessing it's 10-9.
I did.
Oh, did you?
I rushed it through because I needed to get it out.
But yeah, what an attractive lady.
Lady.
So we've got the individuals then. We'll next talk about the actual couples, which couple we think were better. So obviously, like I said, you've got Zach and Lainey, and you've got Kat and Patrick. Essentially, it's which couple had the best chemistry. Which one did you actually think will be together in the future? Like, how do you see that going on? I think it's you first this time. So how did you score that?
I think it was a very easy 10-9 to 10 Things I Hate About You. I think those two are suited to each other more than Zach and Lainey. Zach and Lainey feel more like they would go for all of that and become friends for life rather than anything else. Whereas Kat and Patrick actually feel, as they both open up to each other, I genuinely feel like they are right and meant for each other over the other two. So the bit when they talk about all of the lies that have been told between each other, they both had these kind of personas built by other people, rumors, and as they break down, they were actually quite similar, and I really like that. Obviously, the getting together at the end was very quick, but yeah, I just think they're better suited to each other, and in terms of the personalities, the futures, and all that kind of business, and the past, and like I said, all the rumors that were built around them. Just think it worked a lot better than Zach and Lainey, who I didn't believe that would have happened naturally. I wouldn't believe that would carry on happening that way.
See, I actually disagree. I went 10-9 in favour of she's that, because I think with Patrick and Kat's characters, they both seem so fucking angry. I can only imagine the blazing rows that they'd end up having, and even makes a joke at the end.
Imagine the sex.
Well, yeah, true. But the bit at the end where she's like, you can't just buy me an instrument every time you mess up. And it's yeah, because you probably will fucking mess up a lot. Those two just, I don't know. I think it'd be much more toxic.
With the bass and then the drums and then maybe a triangle. So
yeah, it was a fun line. But yeah, I just think, and even throughout the film, there's moments where they were together for what, an hour, and they already had so many disagreements in that time. It's fucking hell. At least Zach and Lainey, there was only the real moment when she found out about the bet where things went sour, and then he eventually won her over, and they had that really nice moment in the garden. I just think
you and Eleanor agree on everything all of the time.
Not really. It depends what we're on about. If it comes to films and music, not at all.
And are you happy?
Yeah, we don't argue. We don't argue, which is nice. I actually think I could probably count on one hand the number of big arguments we've had in almost 8 years now. We get on, and I don't think Patrick and Kat will just get on. I think those two are going to be at each other's throats for fucking years. Whereas I think Lainey and Zach, I think the chemistry there, I think it just works. And I love how supportive he is. The moments when they're outside after the party and she's upset and he sits with her and he's talking to her and he says when you come into this sort of thing, you've got to let in all the good but also the bad as well. Just their interaction I think it feels more genuine. And also with Zach and the bet, to me it feels that stops much earlier than Patrick and the money. From the first moment after the bet, it doesn't really feel that's at the forefront, whereas Patrick meets her and then goes and says he needs more money. Which I actually made a note of, because he said I've got tickets to the movies, which is $18 or something. Then he's but then we want popcorn, so it's gonna be $53. And I was how much do they charge for popcorn in that fucking place?
You worked at a cinema, you know.
Yeah, but this for 2 people popcorn, you say it's going to cost like $38 or something daft. I can't remember what the exact number was, but it was absurd. Which has absolutely nothing to do with this conversation. I don't know why I just brought it up, but I just
he's rinsing amount of money.
no, I think as well, like the way Zach falls out with his friend over her as well. Like he realizes once he gets to know her, like the sort of people he's been friends with and how they treat those sorts of people, and the way he turns on Dean when Dean starts making comments about her. I just think it feels more genuine to me. Whereas I reckon Kat and Patrick are probably beating fuck out of each other in a couple of years. Like there's no way that's a we out drama. There's no way. And also, I do like the public showcases they do for each other, like the poem and the singing. Like it's nice to have those moments, but all in all, I think the way Zach and Lainey went about things just a little better. I also think he went about it better wooing her, whereas Patrick just kept showing up everywhere.
Maybe 10 Things is actually the Joker's origin.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that's where he got those scars.
It is weird that that's the same guy, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's fucking wild. We'll move on then to a category that you suggested we made, which is really random. But this is the best dad in the movies because both female leads have got a very strange relationship with their fathers who play a significant role, which is quite interesting in comparison to the.
Well,
you are.
The dads are both quite strange as well.
Yeah, it's interesting in comparison to the male leads. Like, obviously, Zach's dad does play a role with the college and like how he wants his son to follow his footsteps, whereas Patrick's family's just never shown. Whereas these female leads have got these single dads raising them, and they're very eccentric characters. You've got Kevin Pollak in She's All That playing Lainey's dad, who I believe is called, is it Wayne Boggs, maybe?
Boggs.
Huh?
Wayne Boggs.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, you got Kevin Pollak playing Wayne Boggs, the pool cleaner. He's not very well off money-wise, but he's raising Lainey and Simon on his own after his wife died of cancer, obviously before the events of the movie. And then you compare that to Kat's dad in She's 10 Things I Hate About You, Walter Stratford, who is played by Larry Miller. He's a very rich doctor who is very, very protective over his daughters and doesn't want them dating anyone. He says that he's got 2 rules in his house, and that is no dating before you graduate and no dating before graduation again. It's interesting. They're quite different in the sense that I think Lainey's dad is actually, he encourages her to step out of her comfort zone and get to know new people. And he's very supportive of a relationship with Zach from like almost the get-go. Like when they meet outside the house and they shake hands, and then when he shows up at the end and he obviously lets him in and he turns the lights on outside, he's very open to the idea of her seeing Zach, whereas Kat's dad is against her having any form of social life, and Bianca, especially her sister, doesn't want her doing anything, and he sets the rule that Bianca can only date if Kat does, which obviously sets in motion the events of the film. It's me first, actually. I went 10-9 in favour of Wayne Boggs for one reason, really. I think while it's funny what Walter does in 10 Things I Hate About You, I think it's actually really poor parenting to just pit the daughters against each other.
Yeah.
Like the original rule makes sense. Like I can understand why he wouldn't want his daughters dating before graduation, but when he says you can only date if your sister does, it immediately puts them against each other, and it makes all of Bianca's resentment towards him and her sister instead. And that is just fucking terrible parenting, like making your kids to resent each other like that.
It's the way that he does it, like, and he's like congratulating himself, like, oh yes, that's a good idea, and he's like so happy and pleased with himself.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Don't get me wrong, it's funny, but when you actually like think about it, it's fucking tragic parenting. Whereas I think Wayne's brilliant. I think he's so funny. Like the scene when
he's watching
Jeopardy and he's getting every single question wrong, which I think is so funny.
And then
he doesn't even realize that the soccer team are in the house until one of them answers the question right, and he looks up. He's like, "Who the hell are you?" Like, I think that's brilliant. The scene he has with Lainey when he talks about the fact he's a poor man and everyone looks down on him, and he encourages her to live her life. I think it's so moving. And he just seems like a much more supportive dad, and he's someone you'd want around. Whereas I think Walter's probably such a pain in the ass. I do think it's funny though when he's talking to Kat and he's having an argument with her, and she says, "Ask Bianca who give her a lift home." He's like, "Don't change that," and he's like, "Who give you a lift home?" Like he's trying to change the subject but can't help himself.
Immediately distracted.
Yeah, he is, and I really think that scene at the end is touching when he says he paid for her to go to the school. He sent the first check. Like it's nice, but yeah, it was easy for me. Wayne, just fucking funny as hell.
I like the bit in 10 Things when they go into the party and he's like, "Where the belly?" And he makes her put the fake belly on. It's fucking brilliant. But I also went 10-9 in favour of Wayne Boggs, purely for the Jeopardy scene. But I do like the scene in the basement when he's talking about how he owns his own business, he provides for his family, blah, blah, blah. I think it's really, really good. I love both. I love both. That's why I said we should do a category because I love both the characters for very different reasons. Like Walter's like just unhinged. He's just unhinged. Like when she's talking and he flings the like exercise thing over and all that stuff and all of his rules and how he acts and talks and halfway through conversations like goes off and talk because obviously he does maternity clearly, so he goes into all the details.
Yeah,
having babies and stuff. I think he's really really unhinged but fucking hilarious. But Wayne's has got that heart to him that just surpasses him in every way, and he's fucking hilarious. Like he acts is the traditional like silent Bob or whatever you would, like he just acts like he doesn't really have a clue what's going on. Like he acts so background until it's important, and then he's clearly very aware of everything that's going on, and he's just there pushing from the background. I really, really like that. So yeah, Wayne Boggs, what a hero.
I think as well he went against all the stereotypical like fathers in these sorts of movies where they're really like intimidating towards the male like love interest, whereas he's so like welcoming of Zach from minute one. Like when they're talking outside the house and he's talking about like his job as the pool guy and he's like asking him to show him stuff, like he just seems to be on board from the get-go, whereas Walter is fucking so against it. And you can kind of see why Walter's missus walked out, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Wayne's wife died, which is a tragedy, and you feel that for him, whereas Walter's walked out and left him, and I'm not surprised.
You'd go, yeah, makes sense.
That's right. It straight up does. Well, we've covered a lot of characters there, but we still haven't got to the rest of these very, very stacked casts because there are a lot of characters in both. So we'll talk about the supporting cast now. We'll start with 10 Things I Hate About You then, because you've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Cameron, the new kid at school who's clearly interested in Bianca, which is obviously what sets apart the entire situation with Patrick dating Kat so that he can date Bianca. You've got David Krumholtz as his friend Michael, who is really funny. I love that guy. You are?
When he's like, "I have a dick on my face, don't I?" And then just like immediately it's like, "I accept that," and walks off.
Yeah, he's great. I think the scene when he rides down on the motorbike and he falls off and he starts celebrating, I think, and he falls over is really funny. You've also got Bianca, who is played by Larissa Olenek, who I've never heard of her name before. But she's great. Bianca's fantastic. You've got Andrew Keegan as Joey, who is fantastic again. Like that guy is so funny.
You bet when he's like this is my underwear pose, and then he shows the swimsuit pose.
Yeah, and when she punches him, he's like, "God damn, Bianca, I've got to shoot tomorrow." Like it's really funny stuff. You got Gabrielle Union as Bianca's best friend.
Who's in both of
them? You think? Yeah, she's one of the bitchy friends in both, although she's much nicer when she's all that. And you've got all the teachers, which is just an incredible collection of some of the worst people in education I've ever seen. Like none of these motherfuckers deserve jobs.
Alison Janney's great.
Yeah, she's fantastic. I think it's Daryl. I've got the names here. It's Daryl Mitchell who plays Mr. Morgan, English teacher. He's fantastic. David Leisure plays the coach of the soccer team doing the detention, which is also really funny.
Where he gets shit in the ass and then like he sits down at detention and like does that quick jump up.
Yeah, that's really good. And you've got, like we've already touched on Larry Miller, but you've also got Kat's friend Mandela, who's played by Susan May Pratt, who's also really good in the scene she's got when she's like talking about how she's in love with like she thinks she connects with Shakespeare, and everyone's like, what the fuck's going on here? Like this bitch is crazy.
Imagine if we knew somebody that was just completely obsessive over people that they
obsessed with people like Shakespeare,
fictional people like Lightning McQueen, or
yeah, that'd be weird.
It'd be weird if you just were fictional people.
And then we'll switching over to She's All That. It's just as stacked again. You've got Paul Walker as Dean Sampson Jr., a fantastic casting choice.
He literally looks like he's like, right, I'm going to finish shooting today, and then I'm doing Fast and Furious tomorrow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when you think about the jump that his career is about to take, and this is just before he obviously becomes this household name. But he's great as Zach, one of Zach's friends who makes the bet with him, but eventually turns 4. Jodie Lynn O'Keefe, who plays Taylor, who plays the bitchy prom queen really well, and she obviously went on to do other things like I think The Vampire Diaries is the other thing I've seen her in, but she's great. Kieran Culkin, like we said, obviously. Incredible as Simon Box,
megastar now.
Usher playing the school DJ, random as shit.
Very random.
Who else have we got? Eldon Henson plays Jesse Jackson,
who goes on to be in Daredevil. You've got Lil Kim in there.
Yeah, Lil Kim's in there. Gabrielle Union, like we said. Anna Paquin. Is it Paquin?
Paquin. Clea Duvall from Faculty.
Yeah, which is really funny when she says, they're talking about the artist, and says to Lena, so maybe you should kill yourself. I think that's so fucking funny. There's also some really random like cameos, like we said. Shermanator.
Oh, did you say that?
No, not yet. We'll get to him.
Okay, I'm going to say I thought you missed him, and if we're talking about cameos, nobody else fucking matters, because you didn't tell me Sarah Michelle Gellar was in this fucking movie.
I know, that's really random choice, isn't it? I think I think her and Freddie Prinze Jr. were together at this point, so I think it was a favour.
I know what you did last summer, and then they were together by this point. So I'm guessing it was just like a wink and a nod kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it was like a favour.
She clearly didn't get paid for it because she
won't even speak.
Didn't even speak. But
no, but she's not the only one. One of the soccer players when they go to clean the house is it Milo Ventimiglia
from Hero?
Yeah, from Heroes, and is it This Is Us? I've not seen it, but I think This Is Gilmore Girls, stuff like that. Yeah, he's one of the soccer players going to clean the house, which I'd never noticed until this time watching it.
When he first ran in, I was like, that's the guy from 10 Things I Hate About You. That's Bianca's boyfriend. And then we had to rewind it, and he was like, nope, that's somebody completely different, but still quite famous.
Yeah, someone that you still recognise. Yeah, that was surprising when he showed up, because I'd never noticed that before, and I've watched this film so many times. Like, obviously I said we've got the Shermanator, but we've also got one of the greatest fucking castings in anything ever, which is why I'm going to get ahead of it now and say that supporting
10-9.
Supporting went to She's All That.
Yeah.
Because Matthew Lillard as Brock Hudson.
You got 3/4 of the cast of Scooby-Doo in this movie.
Yeah. Well, 3/5. Not leave Scooby out.
No, okay, yeah, sorry, yeah.
That's disrespectful.
I'm sorry, I didn't think about the CGI dog.
Yeah, I mean, the entire cast is great, which we'll talk about now quickly. Like, I think they're all good.
That's what we do on this podcast.
Yeah, but like, I mean quickly, because I want to get onto the conversation of one person.
You want some blankets?
No, I just think I want to talk about Matthew Lillard.
Why can't you say quickly, and I've just distracted you from doing it quickly?
I know, yeah, you bastard. Like, they're all good. Like, Usher showing up's really random. Like I said, Paul Walker's incredible as Dean. Like, the bits when he's faking being nice, it fucking kills me. It's so funny. Like, when he's saying to Zach, like, because they can't do this anymore. Like, I really care about this girl. And he's like, it's so stupid. Like, it's so over the top, but it fucking kills me. It's so funny. He is brilliant in it. And I think I'd have gone in favour of Sheila anyway, because I think people like him, he was great. And I think Taylor's really good. Simon's great. But Matthew Lillard as Brock Hudson from The Real World is fucking iconic. Also,
Real World in both the movies as well.
I thought that as well, yeah. I thought that when I was watching 10 Things I Hate About You. It's similar to last week when Everybody Loves Raymond played a part in both. This week it's the Real World reality show. But yeah, Matthew Lillard is fucking awesome in this movie as Brock Hudson. He's so up his own ass. I love it when he's with Taylor in the bedroom and she's like trying to kiss his chest and he's like, "No, watch this," and he says like he's about to go Brando, like Marlon Brando. Like it's fucking awesome.
Like he's got a shoot or something the next day. He doesn't want to smell of a spit.
Yeah, and it's just when like you see the cat when he's like on the screen and like it's he's giving the speech to the cameras and he's saying about how he comes from he's an only child, he doesn't know how to act, and he says like hey him and you just hear fuck off. He's like really upset about it. He's so brilliant. I mean, when he even first goes to school and that all the people are talking to outside and he's like getting in Zach, like Taylor goes over to him and he's like looking at Zach giving him like like on the party when he does the dance. Dance.
So cringy, but so good. Did you? I bet you've watched it, so you probably know. But they did a sequel, didn't they? He's All That.
I've not seen it.
Well, apparently, I can't say for certain because I've not seen it, but I'm pretty sure he comes back and does a dance in He's All That as well.
So I know for a fact that he's in He's All That, and so is Rachel Lee Cook.
Oh,
but
really?
They're playing completely different characters.
Okay.
He plays the head teacher of the school, and I'm pretty sure she plays the main girl's mum.
Okay.
But I've not seen it, and I've heard it's terrible.
I looked it up on Letterboxd, and there's hardly any reviews above 2.
Yeah, I don't think it did well, or it was well received at all. Because I think the main star is that TikTok like girl. She's not even really an actress; she does TikToks, and
no idea.
That's the lead female in it. But yeah, the dance scene is iconic, and I think he's fucking brilliant.
I like all the cast of 10 Things too. Like, but I just don't think any of them are as strong as the cast of like She's All That. Like everybody in She's All That is just unhinged, crazy, like fucking hilarious. I like the bit with Matthew Lillard when he's breaking up with Taylor. And she's like, I don't understand why he's done it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But it's the exact same speech that she gave to Zach at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, it's even that's so sweet line.
Yeah, brilliant. Or when he's dancing, because they had the tattoos, and he got the one of a really badly drawn face with the words "me" pointed at it. And when he's dancing to the song and the song's saying "me," he's pointing to the shoulder. Like, it's so fucking funny.
It's just as well when she's like when she sees him dancing, she tries to get his attention. She's like, "Brock," he's like, "Not now, honey. The song's on." He's like so invested.
I mean, that's the only thing I don't like about She's All That is that they make Taylor look like they make you hate her to make it's almost like you want to like Lainey more. So you make Taylor into a terrible character, and in reality, Taylor should have stayed as like so it would have made her being prom queen a lot harder, like a lot more of a challenge. But like everybody, even her friends hate her by the end of the film. But she does turn into like a married couple of 40 years who fucking hate each other over the space of a couple of days, and even with that, it still pays off. It's still fucking funny.
Yeah, even just showing up to the party like quite pissed, and she's like, I just started with short face. It's like, like you motherfuckers think you're like royalty. It's so good. But yeah, the cast of 10 Things I Hate About You is great as well. Like I said, I think Joey's really funny. I think Bianca's really good as well. Like you can see why she's like popular and why Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character is like infatuated with her. The teachers are really funny. Mr. Morgan, the way he antagonizes Joey, he's like, someone's gonna punch you in the face one day and I'm not gonna do a thing to stop it. I think that stuff's really good.
When she's like, I'm really looking forward to this assignment, he's like, get out of my classroom.
Yeah.
Like,
he thinks she's mocking him. Yeah, and Alison Janney playing the teacher who is just so interested in writing this dirty fucking novel that she's not even that arsed. Although she also behaves a bit questionable when she's like commenting on Patrick's dong, saying he's optimistic, we figured it was a bratwurst. Like these teachers in that school fucking need investigating because they're all terrible.
David Krumholtz is brilliant as well.
Yeah, he's fantastic, but he's fantastic in everything, isn't he?
I had to think the last time I saw him, he was in Oppenheimer, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I had to think that's the last time I saw him.
Well, I watched 2 of the Santa Claus movies since then, so I've re-seen him in those. As Bernard the head elf.
Oh dear.
This is fucking awesome. Yeah, it would have been hard if it wasn't for Matthew Lillard, I think, because I think he just could be one of the most entertaining supporting roles I've seen in a lot of films. Like, there's not many films where I think there's like a certain character that has that sort of impact, considering how limited the screen time is. Like, he's not in it that much,
No.
but he's fucking just
Well, if you're talking
insane. The
about
name,
if we're talking about not in it that much, I would have given She's All That a 10-9 in favour of Sarah Michelle Gellar anyway. So, and she's in it for
yeah,
like seconds. So,
and Shermanator eating his pubes. But the name Brock Hudson as well is just fucking fantastic. Like, it's fantastic. We'll move on then, because I could talk about Matthew Lillard as Brock Hudson all fucking night. He's so funny in that film. I recommend anyone who hasn't seen it watch it just for him. Like,
agreed.
Stuff he does with the real world is just it's so funny. These are obviously two late 90s films, and you can tell by one reason predominantly, and that's the soundtracks. These are two such 90s sounding movies with just like some of the like cheesiest soundtracks, especially for that time as well. Like, they felt the soundtracks are something like they've aged quite poorly, but at the time it is like what you'd expect from a 90s teen movie. Like, they were all like American Pie is a big example of like that sort of soundtrack as well. Can hardly wait, it's the same. But the soundtracks of these movies are both very 90s. It's not songs you'd hear very often anymore, but they were very I enjoyed both soundtracks, so that's why we're going to talk about those next. So how did you rate this one?
I think the only real song in there's the prom song, which was, what did they dance to?
The Fatboy Slim.
Fatboy Slim, yeah, which is which is great, because obviously the dance mix to it is just surreal but hilarious at the same time. But I think the main song is obviously, is it Sixpence None the Richer with
Kiss Me.
Kiss Me. I think that's obviously a very, very iconic scene. And that music pairs up perfectly with that scene. The way it builds up as well, like it's got a bit of an extended opening to it, and it builds up. It's really, really good. But fuck you if you think I'm going against 10 Things I Hate About You's soundtrack. Absolutely not. You've got Letter to Clear with both I Want You to Want Me and Cruel to Be Kind. What the fuck? You've got Stupid Boy when he's chucking the flyers down, which is a fantastic shot. Can I just add? Like, me and Grace both noticed it when we was watching, like the flyers coming down, everybody trying to grab him to that music. Brilliant. Like I say, you got Bad Reputation, you got 1 Week. Obviously, the song that he sings over the tannoy. What does he sing? What's the song called? I know the song. What's it called?
It's not called I Love You Baby.
Yeah,
that's the chorus. Is it Too Good to Be True?
Something like that. But either way, I love you. We'll call it I Love You Baby for now. But like, just another iconic moment. I just think the soundtrack is just consistently good in that film.
Yeah, I think both for me, because you missed out Give It to Me Baby from the She's All That one, which is a song Brock Hudson dances to. So you want to fucking pay some respect to that bop, which is fantastic. I also really like the opening song to that, which I'd never heard before. The one that plays at the montage when Laney's doing like the art stuff. I think that's quite a good one. I'd never heard it before though. I think it's called Prophecy, which I'd never, like I said, I'd never heard. But I thought that was quite an upbeat, catchy song. But yeah, I went in favour of 10 Things I Hate About You as well, because that fucking soundtrack, it's just bop after bop. Like you said, those songs at the beginning are just, it was immediately like, oh shit, I know these. And then, as you said, as it went through, those covers, especially the I Want You to Want Me one, I love that song anyway. So like hearing that was fantastic. The stuff at the gig when they went to that, and when the prom, and he announces and he tells Kat that he asked for a favor or something, he made a request, and they play that song for her. Like, it's all really catchy, the music.
I like how they talk about prom, and it's got like upbeat. They talk about upbeat poppy music that just covers all shit, and it's got like a really poppy ska band singing Lulu Shout, which I love. I love that song Shout anyway. So I think you can, for me, I can tell a good soundtrack is if I finish watching the film and then I immediately go on eBay or Amazon or Discogs or whatever and just look how much the vinyl is.
Did you check that?
I did. It's not that expensive, so
It's not too bad.
potential.
The song that Heath Ledger sings is actually called "Can't Take My Eyes Off of You."
That's it.
But that's also an iconic song. I love that. I love the original, and I love that scene. It's a great song to use, and he's a good singer. So fair play to him.
Agreed.
Respect to Heath Ledger.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, fucking rest in peace. That's sad.
Again, 10 Things I Hate About You is obviously got Heath Ledger in it, and She's All That's got Paul Walker in it.
Yeah, that is very sad. Two greats taken too young. Heath Ledger as well, coming off like the Joker, and then
I like how you two greats and immediately jump to Heath Ledger rather than standing to defend Paul Walker.
No, I mean
the Fast and Furious franchise has gone off the rails since he died. I'm just going to say it.
Well, we said this because we did the first one against Point Break, and I said it then that I think watching it now, you realize he had to he grounds the movies in a way that the last few have sorely missed. Like I think he was so important to that franchise, and you've noticed his absence since he's been gone. So yeah, I think he's a bit of guts, and I think he's great in She's All That. Like what a fucking performance as Dean Sampson Jr. But it's just wild to think that Heath Ledger did the Joker, one of the most iconic performances ever, and that was how he went out. Like I wish we could have seen like what the next 10, 15 years would have looked like for him. Like I can only imagine the shit he'd been doing. It would have been fucking awesome. We've got one category left now then, because I think we both went 10-9 in favour of 10 Things I Hate About You there.
Good.
And that is the legacy of these movies. How they've held up, how they looked at now, how they were even looked at the time. This is a difficult one because I think the content in She's All That has held up better. I think, like I said to you, the stuff for the teachers in 10 Things I Hate About You is really fucking questionable, and none of that's aged well. Like flashing your teacher has not, like, that just wouldn't happen.
Yeah, what happened there?
Either he'd get suspended, even though he had nothing to do with it, or she'd be undoubtedly suspended.
No, he'd be on TikTok and in the papers, and it'd be a whole big thing.
Yeah, even the English teacher, Mr. Morgan, the way he talks to those kids, that wouldn't be allowed anymore. The way that Alison Janney's character, is it supposed to be the head teacher?
Counselor. The
way she interacts with them, especially, like I said, Patrick, and the size of his pecker is really questionable. Like,
I've not done a pecker in years.
Size of his pecker. It's all very... That stuff hasn't aged well at all, but I think, for the most part, 10 Things I Hate About You is a film that's remembered much more fondly than She's All That. And I think it's down to those iconic moments with Patrick singing Can't Take My Eyes Off You, or Kat reading the poem. Like, there are just those moments which have become iconic, and I don't think She's All That has any of those necessarily. And I just don't think... Even it's surprising because it made more money. When they released the 10 year and it made more money. Like, I think She's All That made just over $100 million, whereas 10 Things I Hate About You made about 65, 70. So it's interesting, at the time, one was bigger than the other, but I think as the years have gone by, 10 Things I Hate About You, especially to the newer generation, like the ones that weren't old enough to remember it coming out, but the younger people that have taken to the film now, it's been received so much better. So because of that, I went 10-9 in favour of 10 Things I Hate About You. As much as I actually think I prefer She's All That, I just think it's undeniable that the next generation have just responded so much stronger to 10 Things I Hate About You, and it's remembered so much more. And I don't think She's All That is even really something that this generation is that familiar with, which is a shame because I think it's great. But
obviously, I can speak for the newest generation because I'm quite young.
You were the generation that was there when it came out.
Obviously, I've only watched one of them before, but
I was about to say, you only watched one of them. You did a good fucking job talking about them both for the last couple of hours then.
Yeah, I only watched one of them. Didn't watch the other one before the episode. I think you're right. I think I'd 10 out of 10 things because I think it just holds up. Although there is questionable things with the teachers, it's easier to say they're just questionable teachers, and you can kind of buy into it. I think it holds up to a modern standard a lot more than She's All That does. And I also think all the weird stuff in 10 Things makes it kind of evergreen. So you've got like the click stuff, which you again kind of see in stuff like Mean Girls and other films like that, and like more modern film. I say modern films, that's still like fucking however years old.
I think the only thing you couldn't do now with the clicks is the white rastas. That stuff probably not aged well.
No, I think you probably could. I genuinely think you probably could, because there are still people like that. Obviously, it would be a bit more modernized, but I think it's more of a commentary on how people appropriate certain cultures, and that's how those cliques are built. And I just think it holds up a lot better. I think when you watch that scene with him singing, I think everybody knows that in some way or another. Like, I can't hear that song without thinking about the film, and I haven't been able to pretty much my entire life. I think the only kind of iconic, it's difficult because 10 Things I think ages a lot better and it carries a lot more longevity in it, but She's All That is probably inspired a lot more, obviously, with Not Another Teen Movie and the famous walking down the steps scene. I think that scene alone has its own legacy compared to the rest of the film. I think there's stuff in that She's All That that doesn't age as much as 10 Things does. So it's very hard, and it's very, very like a percentage between them in terms of legacy, because they both do have strong things about it. I just think 10 Things, like we've got like in the cinema that I work at, it's re-released as like an anniversary, 10 Things, but She's All That's nowhere. And I said at the beginning of the episode, or was it just before we started recording, I can't remember. Like She's All That looks like it came out in like 1992, and 10 Things I Hate About You looks like it was like a 2010 movie. Like She's All That just looks so old compared to 10 Things I Hate About You. It's just so, I don't know, like dark and grainy and like proper film, where 10 Things obviously been remastered a few times. So there's probably more of a demand for it now than there was at the time. And I would bet the money that She's All That made was due to Freddie Prinze Jr., because he was that was when his career was like on the up and up after everything with I Know What You Did Last Summer and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I went 10 Things. I don't really know much about either film to confidently talk about that legacy. I just know that more young, obviously work with quite a few young people, more people know 10 Things than She's All That, and I just think it's got a stronger life. Plus, when you make a subpar sequel that brings back characters and doesn't make them the characters they were, I think that just doesn't show a lot of respect for the original film either, and it's just quick cash in. So
yeah, we won't even talk about that shite. I think it's supposed to be a remake, not even a sequel. It's just supposed to be a gender switched remake, which they should have just not bothered. But interesting what you said about like the way that She's All That feels older, and 10 Things I Hate About You feels like a more modern movie. I think a lot of that as well is down to the cast. Like if you look at She's All That, it's a lot of actors that became synonymous with the 90s, like Freddie Prinze Jr. and even like Sarah Michelle Gellar showing up, Rachel Lee Cook, who didn't really do much past.
I forgot to mention it during. Sorry to just jump in on you again.
Sorry.
Mention it in the female lead. I looked at her IMDb to see what she'd been in after She's Like, because I don't recognize her in anything else. And can you remember when, like, there was the thing I tagged you in ages ago, and it was Hallmark Christmas movies where it was two people stood back to back, or two people with a red bell or something like that, and it's always the same poster. She's in fucking like loads and loads of Hallmark movies, so I'm surprised you've never seen her again, because she's in like so many of those back to back really cheesy posters. Honestly, go and look on her IMDb.
Well, I'll be rediscovering her this Christmas then.
You will have the time of your life.
Yeah, I'll be rediscovering her this Christmas. Similarly, Freddie Prinze Jr. had a Christmas Netflix film come out last year, so that was nice to see him again after all these years. But yeah, whereas I think 10 Things I Hate About You, it's like people like Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Heath Ledger and David Krumholtz, who have had these careers well into the 2000s that we all remember.
Yeah, that's a fair point, to be fair.
But the She's All That cast feels very 90s, apart from Paul Walker. The rest of it feels very, very nice. Because even Matthew Lillard had his biggest roles then. Apart from Shaggy, the majority of the stuff he was doing was like those late 90s, like Scream. Like that's his most iconic role to me.
Yeah, I agree. Well, him, that and Shaggy. Do you want to hear some of the films she's been in? Because these all sound like kind of films that you'd watch. A Tourist Guide to Love. Oh, where's the other one I've just seen? 'Tis the Season to Be Merry. Blonde Ambition. Cross Country Christmas. A Blue Ridge Mountain Christmas. Frozen Love. Autumn Vineyard.
Sounds fucking fantastic.
Not only has she been in Autumn Love, she's been in Summer Love.
Oh, we've got sequels.
Not a sequel. Rescuing Christmas. Falling Up. The Family Tree. But she was in Autumn Vineyard. She was also in Valentine's Vineyard. Again, different man, so not a sequel. Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Summer Vineyard as well.
Fuck me, it's a franchise.
I don't think I don't think there's a Winter Vineyard.
That'll be next up, surely. Christmas special.
But My First Wedding. See, all exact kind of films that I would have expected you to have seen. But she's also in Josie and the Pussycats and the Batman Beyond movie and Nancy Drew.
She's also in a few episodes of Dawson's Creek, which I was a big fan of. So that's where the only other thing I think I've seen her in.
Oh, it doesn't say that on.
Because it's a TV show, isn't it?
Get Caught. No, she didn't get caught, apparently. Anyway, sorry.
Well, it just wasn't the career we'd hoped for
No.
her. But yeah, that brings it to an end then. We've got the scores here.
Oh, yeah.
If you had to guess, how do you think it's gone?
You already said, well, so She's All That's your personal, because I said we want to start every week, talk about our personal preference of which is your favourite out of the two. Would you say She's All That's probably your favourite out of the two?
Yeah, I think it's probably largely down to the familiarity I have with it. Like I said, as a teenager, I really loved that film and I watched it so many times, like when I was like 16. It's not something I haven't revisited it too often in the last like decade, but as a teenager, I liked it a lot. Whereas 10 Things I Hate About You, I feel like I'd seen once and I didn't really remember too much. And I think it's a really good film, but I don't know if it's the nostalgia for She's All That or just like some of the choices in 10 Things I Hate About You, which I didn't really agree with too much, where I think it just, I still hold that soft spot for my guy, Freddie Prinze Jr. and Brock Hudson.
Fair. See, I'm probably the same in that with 10 Things I Hate About You is the familiarity of it. I just think all the cast work perfectly together in that film. And they do in She's All That too. But again, I think it's just more the familiarity. Oh, I can't say that word. The
Familiarity.
Yeah, the closeness to that film I have, the fondness of that film. But like I said, like She's All That, genuinely, really, really enjoyed it and happy to watch it again, 100%. Michelle Gellar scene.
Yeah, that it's still so random that she shows up like that. They're both great, but how did you think this actually was going to go out? Like, if you had to guess now, what do you think this score is?
I always assume that the film that you've put forward is going to win because you always go one-sided with your score. I'm joking. I don't know. I think it's probably going to be close to a tie, if not a tie again.
Fuck it. We had a tie last week, didn't we?
We did. We've got another tie.
No, we don't. We don't have a tie. It's close, but we don't have a tie.
A conclusion to our ending.
Yeah, it's close, but no tie. So we've got a score of 192 to 190. So there's only 2 points in it, which is probably just like one round where we both went in favour of one, not the other. That spun it over. So the winner by 2 points is 10 Things I Hate About You.
Nice.
Which I think it's a fair winner, to be honest, because like I said, I prefer She's All That, but there's no denying that 10 Things I Hate About You has held up much better in a lot of people's eyes. And like I said, people like Heath Ledger's performances really elevate it. I think he's insane. The soundtrack's better. There's more iconic moments. It does feel like the right result.
Yeah, I agree. I love that film. One of the few kind of rom-coms that I do really, really like. But really, like I say, really surprised by She's All That. I thought I wasn't going to like it. Really, really ended up enjoying it. But yeah, fuck you, 10 Things. That was my choice.
See, I didn't think you'd like She's All That.
I really, really enjoyed it. I think one moment we didn't really talk about is the bit with the hacky sack when he's on stage. I really enjoyed that bit. We didn't talk about that bit as much, but I think when that happened, I kind of knew that. Yeah, I think something it's got a little bit something special to it.
One thing we never mentioned, which I want to say now, is the quote, "Screw the Dolphins." And a guy tried that last year and he got banned for life at SeaWorld and he got banned for life. Fucking killed me this time. I'd never even paid attention to that before. And this time it fucking killed me when Jesse said that and shoes like that. Like, I thought that was really fucking funny. Like, I loved that a lot. And I never mentioned it in anything that we mentioned earlier. So I just felt like I had to get it in now.
That was good.
But yeah, that brings another showdown to an end then. That's 3 done in our rom-com. We've got 2 weeks left. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. I can't remember what rom-com to do next week.
I can't remember what we're going to do.
We'll figure it out. Is that the big one?
No, the big one's the ending one.
Oh, is next week a certain actress that's in both?
Oh, yes.
I think you recommended one where we've got a very iconic actress who stars in 2.
Yes. Not in this film, though.
No. That was fucking terrible. That was pretty terrible.
Hey.
But yeah, we've got that lineup next week, starring a very certain woman, 2 very iconic rom-coms.
Very certain woman.
Oh yeah, I didn't even mean to do that bit. A very, very attractive lady.
Is that a hill you're willing to die on?
Who is oh God, I'm being distracted now. They were good actually. I think we did all right with them.
I think we did all right with that one. Let's just congratulate ourselves.
Give me a pat on the back for that. But yeah, so we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And if you haven't watched either of these 2 movies, you definitely should, because they were fucking awesome. Pure 90s classics. If you do like what you watched, then please feel free to subscribe to the channel and like the video. If you are listening on one of the podcast services, then subscribe to the channel on there and leave us a nice review. Which, speaking of which, I had a look earlier this week when I was uploading the last one, and it shows where the people are listening to the show from. Would you guess the top 2 places that have listened to this podcast the most in the world?
Oh, in the world?
Yeah, it shows like certain cities and towns which have played our podcast the most.
I would guess where we live.
Nope.
Really?
Not number 1, no. Mansfield's not even 4th. Not in the top 4.
I'll keep my identity a secret, man. Got all this shit. I don't want people doxing me and coming and grabbing.
What, you think I say in Mansfield they're going to clock your house?
You never know.
I don't even know if you live in Mansfield, because I don't.
No, I don't live in Mansfield either.
You don't live at... I know, I was going to fake an address then, but I don't even know what I'd say. Yeah.
So,
Number one is Leicester.
Leicester?
I don't know a single person in Leicester, but that's the place that's listened to the most.
Leicester. Do I know anybody in Leicester? I know one person is in Leicester, but I doubt he's listening to the podcast over and over again.
Yeah,
Leicester's a very silent supporter.
Number 2 is a place that I've never heard of.
Is it
never heard of it. It's a place in America.
Called?
Actually, like Boardman. It's got a population, because I Googled it after I found out, it's got a population of like 4,000 people. So I think one person there must just really like it.
Right. So if you're from Leicester or Boardman...
It might not even be... I said Boardman. That might not actually be the name of it. I can't remember. It is something like that. It's like Boardman or Boardwalk or something. It's got like a population of like 3,900 people or something crazy like that. I'm just going to double check now because I'm interested.
Well, if you're one of those 2 people, let us know so we can thank you on here.
Yeah, Boardman.
Boardman,
USA. And then...
Do you know what? Obviously, I kind of look over the social media pages, which sometimes I'm on time with posts, sometimes I'm not. Let's not dwell on that. But it's fine, because sometimes you don't put the episodes out on the day they're supposed to, and sometimes
sometimes I'm just...
But just like recently, I don't know what's happened, but just recently our Facebook page has been getting like 2 or 3 new members a day, like 2 or 3 new followers a day. It's been weird, because I was tempted to message you, be like, have you paid for a promoted post? Because we're not about that.
No, but you know, another country that's listening to that, this is a really random place, right, that I noticed. Brussels in Belgium.
What?
Yeah.
That's weird. I don't know anybody in Brussels.
I mean, I don't know anyone in Belgium in general. Never mind just Brussels.
Well, yeah, me neither.
So yeah, just some of the random things I noticed earlier the other day when I was putting it on. Just at these random locations that are like some of the most listened to places in the world for it.
That's strange.
Columbus, Ohio is another one in America.
Strange. Okay, so if you're not a bot and you're listening to us from these places, let us know.
Yeah.
For Instagram messages, because we don't get to look anywhere else.
I'm tempted to just like go to the bottom of it and see like some of the most random places that I've listened like once.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
I'm doing it right now.
Okay, sorry. Okay, well, we'll sit in silence. I'll talk about something.
There's quite a few places in Mexico.
Well,
Guadalupe, Neva, Hector. I don't want to pronounce some of these places because I'm going to do it really badly.
Yeah, probably.
There's also a place in India called Kolkata. The Russian Federation, St. Petersburg's listening.
What are you guys doing? And why are our listens and views not as high as they should be?
I know, it's really surprising.
With this quality content of us listing countries.
But this is all on like the actual podcast service. This isn't on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube we don't get as much. To the point where I'm like, should we even be doing a video podcast anymore?
I know it's probably better off just to do audio at this point, but
I like seeing your face.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah, they're just some random places that I noticed that I've been listening since the start. It's really random. Like some of them, when it's just once, it's like yeah, they probably stumbled across it and thought, "Fuck that."
Yeah.
Never came back. But then like when somewhere like Boardman is one of the most listened to places. It's very strange. But enough on that.
By most listened, they've listened to 3 episodes.
Yeah, or 10 minutes of one.
How far is Where We Live down the list?
So Mansfield, which isn't where any of us live, obviously.
We don't live in Mansfield. Mansfield, Ohio, maybe.
Is 5th.
Because we're quite 5th.
Yeah.
But first of all, if you're our friends and you can't hear this, it means you're terrible friends. You should be listening. Where's all the fucking supporters, man?
Manchester's next, then Nottingham, then Birmingham, then Wrexham. Wrexham's up there.
Might be Ryan Reynolds himself listening in.
Yeah, maybe. If you are Ryan, fucking buy Blackburn instead. We're struggling. You know the help we can get. But anyway, enough about locations. We hope you enjoyed that, guys. And like I said, we'll be back next week with another excellent episode. As Nathan says, if you are interested in finding us, not as he says, as he signs. If you're interested in finding us anywhere else, our details are below where we tweet/post. Don't know what we can say. And we're also on Letterboxd sharing lots of movies. I've picked it up. I think I'm now averaging more than one for the year. One a day for the year.
Oh, yeah. I have dropped it a little bit. I'm on... Well, this is my problem. I've been wrestling with this, and these are the problems I'm living with right now in my life. I don't log a rewatch ever, but obviously 10 things I've rewatched. When we did Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle, it was a rewatch. So that's technically three films I've not logged or numbered. So I've done 40 new logs on Letterboxd this year. So that average is just under one a day. But now I'm tempted to start doing logging my rewatches because that's going to really help.
I do.
I know you do, but
then I can see how many times I watched a certain film at the end of the year.
Yeah, but I don't want to be like how many times I watched Bill, how many times I watched Friday the 13th, fucking whatever shit Dan's watching. Or
he doesn't rewatch; he just watches the most obscure shit you've ever heard.
He was telling me that he sometimes watches stuff on his phone while he's got stuff on the TV, and that's why his numbers are so high. I'm like,
he's multitasking.
God.
But sounds like real first world problems if that's the problems you're having, whether you should add rewatches onto your Letterboxd.
It's a struggle.
Zack Seiler.
Just like Zack Seiler, I'm struggling with life.
But anyway, thanks for... You are?
I really need to pee, so let's end this episode.
Yeah.
I've needed to since the supporting cast category. Can we hurry on?
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Shout out to Boardman USA, the other fucking real one, and Leicester. We love you. If we ever go to a tour, we'll come there first. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next week. with another great episode. Peace out.
See you later.